Hello there, and welcome to 10 Beginners Tips and Tricks for Satisfactory version 1.0. In this video, I've done my best to bring up the things that will help you to get on board quick without any frustration with a game. Feel free to experiment and go on bravely like all of us pioneers should. Many of the things in this video, I'm afraid, might be pretty self-explanatory to factory veterans, so if you've played a ton of Factorio and these things, I might be not telling you too much, but I am adding in a couple of things towards the building system in this video as well, so I really hope that everybody will have something to benefit from this video. Now, enough talk. Let's get into the meat and bone. Number one, I want to talk about early game power. So the hub that you start with comes with 2 biomass burners. These are okay to use them as long as you need to, but you really should get away from these as quick as you can. Several reasons for that. First up, they produce less energy than your regular biomass burner, and they cannot be belt fed. As you see here, this thing here just gets a belt-fed power supply, and as you see here, multiplying it like that yields a nice amount of power. And the best part about it is, here's the back end of the machinery, here's a container for wood, over there's a container for leaves, and everything I harvest just is going to be dumped manually into these containers, and this is a really good early game way of producing power. I still recommend rushing towards coal production as quick as you can, because at that point things get a lot easier in terms of automation. But in all honesty, if you just pick up every foliage and stuff on the way, with this machinery you have early game power as much as you need, and eventually you will replace this obviously with something, but it'll get you through the early stages, and it's really easy to set up. I like it. Number two, I want to talk about a good starting location for beginners, because this is something that I think a lot of people are asking themselves. What should I go for? So I don't want to say this location or that location and this location are the best. Much more I want to say how to define what's a good location. So your scanner allows you to scan for ores, and ores come in different qualities. There's impure ores. You shouldn't start your factory around these. While it is completely okay to claim them, they only produce 50% of what a normal ore would yield. So you have to invest way more energy for way less yield, and you get way less produced in that time. The other thing is, you should always settle down as close as you can to the first iron deposits, because iron is in the early game a very, very important resource. Pretty much everything around the early game's space elevator thing is iron with iron and iron. So having a lot of iron in your vicinity early on pays off massively. A smidge of copper and limestone is also very, very important. Limestone, if you tend to go for larger builds, you should always aim to have more than one limestone deposit in your starting vicinity. Copper is extremely important, but one deposit usually is more than enough for your early game onboarding process. But from the iron deposits, normal quality, if you can get 2 to 4 of these, you won't be regretting it, because there's just so much you can do with them. And limestone, well, you see those foundations, they're all built with concrete, and you can quickly burn through huge amounts of concrete this way. But I'll talk about foundations in a few minutes and why it's so good. So yeah, go for iron. Aim for a normal, at least avoid impure ores. Get yourself at least 1 copper ore, 2 limestone patches if possible. Everything else is depending on your own individual tastes, but this is pretty much what sums up a decent starting location. Don't grow any gray hair about that apart from this, and just start gaming if you have these. Number 3. Automate everything immediately. So as soon as you are able to build constructors, you should be really trying to automate every single thing that you can build with them. Screws, iron plates, iron rods, wires, cables, everything. I have here in this is my early game setup. Let me give you a close-up impression of that, where I just simply built whatever came up my mind, and the goal of this was just to get myself a a assembler going, which ultimately deposits the finished product into one of these storage boxes. So I basically started to store iron rod, screws, plates, and everything in between. Back there is my copper stuff. Why should you do this? Because all of the milestone goals that you have to achieve involve investing a lot of material into a bank. This is one reason. Every building is requiring things, and the earlier you don't need to stand at the tinkering bench anymore, the better. I mean, early on you will use the crafting bench whether you like it or not, but you should always try to aim to get all the things that make up your factory automated as quick as you can, because the quicker you have it done, the faster you can build. And at the end of the day, our lifetime is a limited resource that we cannot mine more, so you get the idea. Number 4, sometimes though you can just wait because you need some resource and all of that, and I must say, don't wait, go exploring. This game is a lot about exploration, and I have only discovered a fraction in this run of the entire world. So whenever you notice that you're just waiting for something to be produced because you're unlocking a new milestone, or you're just tired of building until you have this and that done, go outside there and explore the world. This is the best moment to do so. Some of you are more of an explorer, some of you are more of a factory builder. I'm more of a ladder, and sometimes I need to remind myself that there's a glorious world out there to explore, and yeah, this is the pacing that I was very happy to go with. Number 5, the power of foundations. So as soon as you have unlocked foundations, go use them. Even if it looks funky like that, it does do one thing. Whatever you want to build is now standing on a straight-faced surface, you know, 90 degree, no funky little things on the ground and such. So to get yourself a quick foundation, here are a couple of building tricks. First up, when you want to build something, use the middle mouse button to just copy it. Then you can press and hold R for different building modes, and here's the zoop mode. When you activate the zoop mode, you can just left click once and run alongside this and just ignore the acid around you. It's okay, we're just building here, and you can build up to 10 units in a row like that. Then you left click again and finalize the production. This is doable with all manner of things, but the zoop mode is excellent for stuff like that. Another little thing that I personally find extremely useful to know, here is one of my smelters, and if you want to organize things tidily, here it goes. Go there, and then you hold the left control button, and you see that line that pops up? This is an alignment line. So when you hold left control, you can do it like that. And if you want to go really tidy and everything, you can now press just H and lock the hologram in place. With the arrow keys now you can put them close or whatever you want, and with these little tricks you can build nice and tidy, and those foundations, they are really massive. Not only do they allow you to build tidy, they allow you also to build multi-story complexes and a lot of things. Of all things, foundations, they deserve their name, because they really are the building block of all factories, and as soon as you can, go for them. They really make such a big change. Number 6, your first builds won't matter, and so experiment freely. This might sound a little bit harsh at first, but to give you an impression, what I built up on that hilltop is, in my personal impression after all the factory games that I played, politely said, not a good factory, okay? I have stronger expletives in my mind when I walk through this, but I don't want to talk too bad about it. Either way, this was excellent for me to get the foot into the door, and I still use those containers and this labyrinthine structure until the very day to grab some concrete to build with and all, but as soon as the day comes, as I need those extra iron miners, I'll be just erasing everything, plaster down the foundation, and rebuild it. The stuff that you build first is just going to be the beginning of many things. You will get stronger machines, different ideas what you want to do with the room. So if you see that you can solve a problem with a not so optimal approach. If you can already think, well, in an hour or so I could do it better, but until then I need to handcraft. Go for that build. Don't delay and procrastinate yourself. Go for it. This is really, really what I want to get down to. Everything can be, will be upgraded eventually. Because all these starting things, they're just starting things. This game is big. Number 7. If you want to expand your factory in a bigger style, you should always aim to go for your power grid first, because this is the natural course of action. And if you don't go for that, your entire factory might shut down when you activate the machines. If you go over your production capacity, this is this here, you might just hit the spot where all the machines go down, and let's draw a worst case scenario, and all of your stockpiles of fuel are also empty. Or to put it even worse, you didn't even overstress it, just ran out. Whatever. If you just go for your power grid first, you will never have blackouts because you expanded over your power grid. Personally, I grew accustomed to that habit. I don't know how you see things, but I like to have a big buffer of these. Let me know how you think about it, but this has proven to be a very, very effective way to keep a good running factory, for me personally at least. So, number 8, you can't ever overproduce in this game. This is one of those factory games where it won't matter if you have one of those storage containers full of screws or a storage container full of ore. It all doesn't matter because you get rewarded for overproductions. Mineral resource spots don't have any, don't limit you in any production, so they won't run out. And the awesome sink will allow you to just mill down the items to fix it coupons. So unlike other factory games, you will not be punished for buffering items somewhere. And this was something that I needed to think differently about coming from Factorio, so maybe this will help you. Because usually you'd say, if you happen to don't need such amounts of that stuff, eventually you'll need to move that stuff from one way to another, and that can become tedious when we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of screws. Here in this scenario, you just build a item sink next to it and you just mill it into coupons. This is pretty cool, worth noting, and besides that, you will always need those resources for something eventually, believe me. Number 9, tidy belts, less confusion. So, I mean, this comes pretty self-explanatory, but I want to stress out how important it is. Here, back in this part of the factory, I didn't do such a good job. Here, things go wibbly-wobbly wonky, and it becomes harder and harder and harder to expand on that. The more curves you need to take, the more tricks and extra building steps your belts need to take. Look at this monstrosity of a screw belt there. It goes places, man. The less of these things you can do, the easier it will be to expand your factory, to keep an overview about things. The more of these slitches, slotches, and ramps you do, the harder it will become to build around. My personal recommendation, if you notice that you spaghettied up yourself too hard, just erase everything and redraw it from the scratch. Usually, when you just reconnect everything to your best knowledge, you will draw a better line than before. You can basically untangle the spaghetti. But in my own experience, nothing beats a proper platform, a properly prepared platform factory foundation like this, because when you're just building out in the wild, it is really hard with all the height differences on the ground to avoid spaghetti. That's my personal verdict there. Now, number 10 is the last thing. There is no perfect way to build a factory. First up, and everything in this game can be deleted and rebuilt. You will never lose any material, so by all means experiment around. Don't lock yourself with the thought that you need to understand something better before you scale up, or whatever might be blocking your circuits. This game is extremely forgiving with making minor mistakes or even major mistakes, as you can simply just rebuild in a couple of minutes everything that you have done here. So for example, these foundations here, they really annoy me, and eventually I'll just build another layer over it or whatever. I might be even ripping them out and replacing the concrete production site here, whatever. Don't delay your action, because there is no punishment for being too fast on something except for having to rebuild it. But this is fairly easy with this game, and finding the way how you want to do things, finding your optimal production chains, finding the way that it is fun for you to produce things. I personally think that these are the big things that are fun in the game, and therefore don't shy away from experimenting around and building wild spaghetti parks. It's just where the fun is at. So I hope this video was helpful for you, and yeah, factory veterans out there, I am sad if I have wasted your time with things you already knew. I really gave my best to make a beginner-friendly video, so let me know what you thought in the beginner comment section. Brain. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing, and in the description box you can find plenty of other links. Feel free to support the channel financially if you feel my work is worth a dime to you. It would really mean a lot to me. So, thanks for supporting if you do, and thanks for watching this video. It really, really means a lot to me. See you guys soon at the factory.